conversation. This is the single most, I also went on to do a breathwork certification. This is the single most, um, I don't know, modality that has changed my work, truly, with people. And so I'm excited to share like why that is.
Hi, everyone. I am really excited to bring Tiffany Borst here. She is a graduate of our 2023 Liberate program, and she is a psychotherapist of 30 years. She's a yoga instructor, a meditation coach, a mom of 4 adults. And I'm really excited to bring Tiffany on because we get so many questions about how is meditation coaching different from therapy and psychotherapy. So I thought I would bring Tiff here to talk about it and just to share a little bit about your journey and how you came as a psychotherapist into the training.
Yeah. So, I, from way back, even as soon as I learned the word psychology, I absolutely knew this was in middle school. I learned the word psychology and I knew without a doubt in my heart that that is what was meant for me. And so I always knew I would be a therapist. I think of myself as a therapist, of course, but also as a healer. And so really during COVID, when the world kind of shut down, I had the opportunity to get my yoga teacher training. And from there, I was really just in this like searching more, I need more, I need more. Like there was something missing in the healing work that I was doing with clients. And so I was searching, right? And through the yoga teacher training, I started including more embodied practices into my work with people. And I was really seeing that that was having a big impact. And then, but I was looking at like, do I want to do some Reiki? I'm really drawn to meditation. I had started my own meditation practice and was finding that to be so healing for me. And I was searching for that. I was looking at energy work, and up pops your ad with, by the way, I was really following kind of, I like to use signs, spiritual signs or whatever. And at the time, my spiritual sign was a blue butterfly, and there it was on your website. I don't even know if it's still there. There was this blue butterfly, and I was like, that's it. This is the training. And the thing I loved about it, I also kind of wanted a coaching certificate because there were some limits to my license that we'll talk about. And so you had the coaching certificate, the meditation, and the energy stuff. And I was like, and the blue butterfly. I was like, this is it.
The butterfly sealed the
Sign
deal
me
on
up.
that. And
Yeah,
then what did you find as you were going through the training yourself? What were
it
your
was,
discoveries?
yeah, this was, first of all, I love the blend of the energy and meditation and all of that. It's been so huge on my own healing journey and so incredible to share in my sessions with my clients. Like it is really, and I've said this to you, and this is why I know this is why we're having this conversation. This is the single most, I also went on to do a breathwork certification. This is the single most, um, I don't know, modality that has changed my work, truly, with people. And so I'm excited to share like why that is actually, really.
Yeah, please do. Because
Yeah.
I guess let's start with what would you tell people is the difference between therapy and coaching?
Right.
And
So
we'll
I
start with
think
that. And then I'd like to hear about how it's changed your practice.
right, because I think that's the exciting part, but let's get
Mhm.
the nitty-gritty, like
Okay.
the real nuts and bolts, the actual most distinctive difference between coaching and therapy is the the license, actually. The amount of schooling that it requires to become a therapist, the licensing, and that license allowing therapists to treat and diagnose mental mental health disorders. Okay, so that's the primary difference. That's not to say I think there's actually a lot more that is similar. I hear a lot like therapy works on the past and coaching works on the present and future. And that has never, even before I did your training, was never true for me. Like there's a relevance. I think all of us probably as healers, there's a relevance to the past, and there's a point where we need to be goal setting and helping our clients use that information to assimilate, transform, and move on forward. Right. So I
Mhm.
think that um, that's that part I think ends up being the same. I think all of us are working on self growth, building self worth, transformation. We all want transformation for our clients.
Mhm.
Right. And so I think that's where we're similar. It's that piece of, I do coaching and I do therapy. And so the difference for me is where are we in terms of mental health symptoms? Or are we working on self growth and self worth? Right. So that's the distinction for me.
And how do you handle that differently? How would you approach that differently? Because there are a lot of people now who have anxiety and stress and they're still
Yeah.
wanting to work towards growth, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Right. So, really, there's very little difference in terms of how I'm working with people. It's more about like the limitation that, like, for me, it's like, are you billing your insurance? It's that kind of stuff, right? Do you need a formal diagnosis? You can have your pet in your house, like, whatever that. And also my license I have a license in the state of Missouri and strangely in the state of Utah. So those are the states that I'm allowed to practice therapy as a psychotherapist, right? And provide a diagnosis and those kinds of things. So the coaching has allowed me to see people that are not in my area, right? And they may have some anxiety, but we're not working on their symptoms aren't as severe, right? So if they are, they would need a mental health professional in their area. So those of us who are just coaches need to be able to be aware of that, right? That they're practicing within their scope. And for me, when I'm seeing someone outside of my state, I need to be clear on that, right? And I need my client to be clear on that, that if you have any symptoms that are severe, that I'll need you to have a mental health worker in your state that you are seeing.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's almost semantics that you're using as a
exactly.
way to make that distinction.
It
It's like
really
here
is.
are the legal
Correct.
regulations and guidelines to helping somebody, and then coaching is a little more broad based because you can work with
Yeah,
anyone in any state. So
right.
can you share a little bit now about how meditation coaching has shifted
Yeah.
your personal practice with your patients?
Yeah, this is the part that I think is really exciting because I think for both coaching and therapy, we can be working on mindset, right? We can help our clients shift their mindset. We can in therapy we call it cognitive behavioral therapy, and coaching we call it mindset, right? We're working on self-growth and healing and transformation, right? But when we're goal setting and mindset, and I was doing a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy. I was treating a lot of OCD, that kind of thing. And so it's all, to me, that's all up here, right? And what meditation coaching and the energy practices that I learned from through Liberate and working under you and all of that, it brought it from here to here. And I watch people. I can feel it in my sessions with people and I'll even say, okay, we got to get out of our heads. We're spinning up here, right? Let's bring it down for a minute, right? And we'll pause and breathe. And it just like, right? People come down into their heart and they connect with their intuition, right? And they connect. I had someone say the other day, we were kind of up in our heads a little bit, and I did that. We come down and we were just heart listening and connecting there and she left and she said, sometimes when I leave, I feel like I need to text you because I can't remember what I was supposed to do. But today, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And the reason is because it wasn't coming from our heads, it was coming from her inner wisdom, her heart. It's probably what I would have recommended, right?
Right.
But it's so much more powerful when it comes from your own heart
Hmm.
and your own intuition.
Right, right. Because meditation coaching is that facilitation of self realization
Exactly.
of the self. Yeah.
Exactly. And that, I think, was the powerful shift for me in my work with clients that just made everything so much more rich.
And
Really,
what would you say? Like what are some of the qualities that you noticed for yourself and for them?
I think we slow, it's slower, we soften. Um, there's a fair amount of like pausing to do energy work, releasing energy. And I love that part, right? And I've learned to do a lot of that for myself. And I think sometimes so much of emotions are energy held in our body. And we can talk about them all day long, but the more that we actually tell the same story and the more that we talk about the emotions, we just keep having the emotion.
You're stuck in the same energy.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. And we can just bring that up and we can do it over and over again.
Hmm.
Right. But when we can drop in and when we can either sit with that energy, the emotional energy, not the story, the emotional energy, we can sit with that. It can dissipate. We can release it. Right. And people will even say their skin starts to feel a little tingly. And this is the stuff that that somatic therapists are doing, right? So it's a very similar kind of process, but it's like releasing that from an energetic level. And then we just no longer need to tell the story, or we gain the
So what are
insights.
you noticing then? Are they able to let go of the story more quickly? How are you
Yes.
seeing that
Yes. The things
progress?
resolve so much more quickly. Really. And it's an interesting thing people have, because I don't even, when I'm taking history now, like in the first session, it is not uncommon. We don't get through the whole history. I'll go, okay, wait, pause. Let's just pause there right now and let's just tune in what's happening in your body. Right. And we may just work on that tiny piece and they're like, wait, I didn't finish the story. And I'm like, well, that's okay. Like, because they've told the story and they've been to other therapists and they've told the story. And right. Let's just work on what's being held, you know? And the other thing that happened is this really powerful, like we've heard as therapists, we call it inner child work, right?
Mhm.
It is so powerful to sit with your younger self, your future self, your highest self. Like that is so powerful for people. And I
Mhm.
just see them resolve things, build self-worth. When you've had when we talk about ego development, we have so many messages that we get from the world, right? That we assimilate. We're not enough here. People love this about us, so we maximize that and we kind of hide that away, the other away, right? And healing, I believe, is bringing it all back, right? Integration, bringing it all back and realizing that all of you is beautiful, lovable, worthy, right? And so that being able to do, that kind of parts work through visualization and meditation, again, so much more powerful than just talking about it. And I had a client come in yesterday and was talking about, because we've done a lot of that. And so, I'll ask the question, how old do you feel when you had that reaction, this pattern that we're talking about, right? How old do you feel? And he looks at me and he's like, I went on a walk with my 14-year-old self yesterday. I know where you're going. Because we've done this, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. And he goes, and I had a huge epiphany.
Wow.
And I'm like, exactly. And that's the stuff that's just, like become that's so powerful. And that's
And
the
so
thing that you're teaching.
are your patients learning to meditate with you?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
And
how is
that's,
that making the difference for them?
I mean, first of all, we're all so dysregulated, right, in our world. And
Mhm,
so there just is not anything that calms like meditation, right?
mhm.
And that brings you to that deeper part of yourself, your inner wisdom, that helps you regulate your mood, right? So I can quickly, so much more quickly, if I can get people doing some practices and I blend yoga, I'll meet them where they are, right? Do you want to try meditation? Do you want to try yoga? We need something that's helping you regulate, a practice that you're doing regularly, right? And so I have recordings on my website, and then I've put a lot of, through your encouragement, this started from Liberate. I started putting things on Insight Timer, and my clients love that. So I'll make a meditation for them, put it on Insight Timer, and they can access it, but so can everybody else,
Oh, that's perfect.
which is
What a
super
great
fun.
idea.
It's so fun.
Great
I love
idea.
it. I love it.
Yes.
And I love the part of the creativity of that and the recording of it, but then I don't have to, like, I don't have to market anything. I just like throw it out there. Like,
Right, and other people can benefit.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit, Tiffany, about how meditation coaching impacts you as a psychotherapist when you're offering sessions?
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing because uh I think I realized through through our training and since then, like I would have said, people would say, "How do you do this?" I see 7 or 8 clients a day. I see a lot of people in the week, right? And, how do you do that? I would have said, "You know what? I don't really take it home." When we were doing our training, I realized I was releasing through meditation and the energy work we were doing 20 plus years, probably what 25 years worth of other people's emotions that had built up. My world, I would drive home and go, "Wow, it's just like brighter. Who turned up the bright?" And I felt lighter. So that's the other thing, is that as I'm doing that, there's less, because I'm regulating in the session too, and I'm releasing. I feel less drained in the day, you know, than I used to. And I will often start the day like with meditation in my space. I always start my day with meditation and end my day with meditation, but it is really powerful to start it here in my office. And I find that those days tend to be more creative and intuitive. And then end the day before I go home with a releasing and energy clearing. And when I go home, I'm so much lighter. And so I think that answers your question.
Learning those energy tools to keep and cultivate your own energy so you don't get
Right.
drained by those
Absolutely.
heavy emotions that you're meeting every day with every
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the energy component for any instructor or therapist is
Yeah.
critical because
Yeah.
how can you not go through burnout, compassion fatigue, and all these other
Right.
things if you're not taking care of and rejuvenating and releasing old
Absolutely.
energy, just like we take a shower every day, right?
Right.
We've
Right.
gotta
Absolutely.
practice that hygiene.
Yeah. And I think I thought I was doing that. I've always been big on one of my clients made me this poster that is radical self-care, because it was always what I was saying, self-care, self-care. And I was doing self-care, right? And I've always done yoga every day, and really I take my Fridays are just my day to myself, and but there is a it's like it's just like everything I learned in Liberate just was like it just was like turned it up. What I was doing, it just made it more effective. It made it more powerful. And I mean, I've said that to you so many times, I think. Like this just was so powerful. for
Mm,
me and for my clients.
amazing,
Yeah.
Tiffany. Is
Yeah.
there anything that you would want to add or maybe tell to other people who are therapists, psychotherapists about how meditation coaching can help them and their work?
Yeah, I just think that it just enhances. It's not that we are no longer therapists because I kind of had to grapple with that for a bit. Am I a coach now? Am I not a therapist? Should I not be a therapist? Right? And ultimately, I will always think of myself as a therapist, right? Like that. Probably, honestly, sometimes really before mom or any other label. If you ask me who I am, I'm a therapist.
Mhm.
But I just think that, so it's like you don't have to give that up. You don't have to give up being a therapist. This just adds so much richness to our work, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any last parting uh, thoughts or words you'd like to
I
share?
think that's all. I think I said all the things, but it's just been such a neat and cool experience for me. And it's breathed so much life into because it's just brought so much more life to my work again, you know,
Mm,
which is fun
that's
because
beautiful.
I'm
And
not
what do you think
ready.
about meditation coaching becoming a mainstream modality like therapy?
I love that. I love that. I think that's amazing,
Hmm.
right? I just think that it's again such a powerful tool that and and so healing for people that the more healing modalities we have, the better. I think there's room
Yeah.
for all of it,
Yes,
you
that's so
know?
true.
There's
Thank you
room
for
for all of
sharing
it.
about your experience
Yeah.
and how you beautifully blend these practices together
Yeah.
with the psychotherapy, meditation, yoga, the
Yeah.
breath work. And if anybody's listening and you want to learn more about Tiffany's work, you can find her at tiffborstyoga.com. And that's
Nope, one
TIFFBO,
F. Just one F.
just one F. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
TIFBORST yoga.com.
Yes. Perfect.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Tiffany. I
Thank you for
appreciate your
having
time and
me.
your energy.